العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد خاتم الأنبياء وأشرف المرسلين أما بعد. Thank you for being here today. I thank Allah for giving us the chance to gather here in His house. I thank Allah for giving us the opportunity to pray, to come here safely. When you think about our brothers and sisters in like the Rohingya people in Burma, they don't have that chance to come here and like safely. They even get kicked out of their villages, and they got tortured because they're Muslim and they're doing Salah and Siyam, and they're Muslim actually. When you look at Sayyidina Umar, the companion of Sayyidina Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam, he was walking one day in the streets of Medina. That's when he saw a shop where there is a guy holding fire between his hands. So he went there and asked him, what do you work for? He said, like, I'm a blacksmith. So he said, what are you doing? He said, I'm creating grinders. You know, the old grinders when you put the wheat between two rocks and start pushing the wheel. So he said, Sayyidina Umar said, I heard that you can build a grinder which can work on the wind. Then suddenly the blacksmith said, I can build something which can, like, this blacksmith is not Muslim. He's not, like, he hates Muslim actually. But he said, I can build something which can make all the people from the east to the west talk about it. So when Sayyidina Umar thought about this, he realized that he's threatening him. So Sayyidina Umar left the blacksmith and went to his home, and the blacksmith started to build a dagger, a double-sided dagger, which had, like, both sides are sharp, and the middle part are where you hang it. And he kept putting poison on the dagger for a whole month. And after a month, Sayyidina Umar was going to the masjid because he's the imam of the Muslimin at that time. He went there, and the blacksmith, he was hiding behind the wall. He was intending to kill Sayyidina Umar. So he waited until Sayyidina Umar started saying Allahu Akbar, and he started praying, but he didn't go in right away and kill him because people started to come in the second rak'ah, so he won't be able to escape if he attacked Sayyidina Umar at that time. In the second rak'ah, he actually went in to the masjid and he stabbed Sayyidina Umar 3 times. One stab was in his shoulder, and one is in his chest, and one else was like near his belly. But at that time, when we're here, there is no door beside the imam. The door is always in the back. So he couldn't escape. He stabbed 13 Sahabas, and then he couldn't escape. And when he realized that he can't, he wouldn't save himself, he killed himself, and he died. After a day or two, Sayyidina Umar went into a coma, and he couldn't speak, he couldn't realize nothing. People tried to wake him up several times, and they failed. But after a couple of days, he woke up, seeing people crying everywhere. He looked at his right hand side, men were crying. The left hand side, people, women were crying. If you were in his situation, the first thing that would come to your mind, who stabbed me? Who wanted to kill me? That makes sense. I want to know who wanted to kill me. But the first word that came out of Sayyidina Umar's mouth, did the people pray? that was shocking, because in his situation, you're in pain, you're looking at blood on your body. What would you ask about the salah? Because Sayyidina Umar realized that salah is the most important thing in his life, he asked about it. Remember when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was in his deathbed, and like the death angel was pulling his soul away from his body. If I were in his position, I'll think about like the most important thing in my life. I'll think about like my wealth, my will. Like take like that person needs some money from me. That person go pay him some money because he owes me money. So the first thing that came out of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mouth was as-salah, 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 wa ma malakat aymanukum. So he said as-salah, prayer, 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 several times, and he said wa ma malakat aymanukum means your servants, your wives. So the last word that came out of Sayyidina Muhammad ﷺ mouth was prayer. Remember also when the Sahabi Sayyidina Ali, he died when he was praying. So prayer was always the most important part in the Sahaba and the Prophet's life. Because in the Arabic language, salah means salah, and salah in like this term salah means the link between the servant and his God. So if you are praying 5 times a day and you're asking God, like if you're like calling someone 5 times a day, just imagine that you're calling like your wife or your brother 5 times a day. How like strong your relationship would be? It will be very strong, because you love him so much and you're calling him 5 times a day to ask him about like his life. So when we pray 5 times a day, we ask God, guide us to the right path, guide us to the right path, guide us to the right path, and we pray like 5 times minimum. So is the shaitan going to be able to deceive us or to guide us to any like bad way? Of course not, because our link between us and Allah is strong. If you go and ask some people who do drugs or commit like major sins about salah, they'll say, no, I don't pray actually, because the salah in the Quran, there is an ayah that says, "Inna salata tanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkar." So the salah forbids and don't allow people to do fahsha, the major sins, and it's actually one of the most important things. So this week we decided to start talking about the 5 pillars of Islam. So this week, inshallah, we started talking about salah, and the next week we'll start going to the other pillars, because salah is actually the most important thing, and the first thing that Allah is going to ask you about in the Day of Judgment is salah. So imagine yourself like standing in front of Allah in the Day of Judgment. The first thing that He will say, are you praying? Are you praying? Then you don't have a choice except to tell the truth. So if you're praying, you're going to say, yeah, I was praying. Then Allah will ask the angel, He knew already that you were praying, but He was asking you, and He will ask the angels, how was his prayers? Was he praying properly? Was he praying intentionally for me, or just to show off? If you're praying properly, if you're praying in the right way, then He will look at your other deeds, and He will look at your zakat, and He will look at your sadaqah, and He will look at your dealing with parents and any other thing. So if your salah is good, Allah will look at any other thing. If you're not praying, it's over. In the Day of Judgment, it is over. Because Because there is a hadith that says, "As-salah amaduddin." As-salah, prayer, is the pillar of the religion. So, and Rasulullah says, "Man aqamaha," whoever builds it, فَكَأَنَّمَا أَقَامَ الدِّينَ, as if he builds the whole religion. So, we just need to think about Salah. We just need to think about the importance of Salah, because the Prophet and his companions was so concerned about it. And even Allah in the Quran, he mentioned the word Salah and its derivatives like 51 times. That should tell us how important is Salah. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا في ملء السماوات وملء الأرض وملء ما شاء ربنا من شيء بعد. How do you know that you're praying properly? So, if someone says, I just want to go to Hajj, but there are a lot of people in the Hijjah, and there are a lot of people, it's hot at that time, I just want to go in Ramadan, or in Shawwal, where there's nobody, but I will do everything. I'll throw the gems, I will go to Mina, I will do Tawaf, I will do everything in the Hajj. But I won't do it in the Hijjah. I will do it in Ramadan. So what do you think? Is it going to be acceptable? Of course not, because this Farida, Hajj, has certain time that you should do it in. So when we're talking about Salah, the Fajr has been cold, and you're sleeping. Is it going to be acceptable to pray after the time of Fajr? It could, but it's not preferable. Like you shouldn't do that, because every Farida has its own time, has its certain time to pray in. There is an ayah says, وَلَوْ شِئْنَا لَرَفَعْنَاهُ بِهَا. If we wanted, we can raise this person with the Salah like higher in position in Jannah. وَلَكِنَّهُ أَخْلَدَ. Like the person, he chose to sit on the ground, and he chose to not pray. He chose not to be risen in the heaven. So we need to be concerned about Salah as the first thing when we wake up. The first thing that should go on into our minds is, did I pray Fajr? Did I pray Dhuhr? Did I pray Asr? Did I pray Maghrib? Did I pray Isha? We should think about prayer as the first thing, because we're going to be asked about prayer the first thing on the Day of Judgment. I ask Allah to give us the tawfiq, to give us the chance to be good Muslims. I ask Allah to help us pray on time. I ask Allah to help us pray properly. I ask Allah to help us pray every single prayer, even when we are sick. We should even pray. That the only excuse that you should have if you're not going to pray is either death or if you're a mentally ill person. And alhamdulillah, Allah gave us very strong minds, and we're in college, so there is nothing should stop us from praying. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وأقم الصلاة. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة أيحسب الإنسان
الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه يسأل أيان يوم القيامة فإذا برق البصر وخسف القمر وجمع الشمس والقمر يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر كلا لا وزر إلى ربك يومئذ المستقر ينبأ الإنسان يومئذ بما قدم وأخر بل الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة ولو ألقى معاذيره لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. كلا بل تحبون العاجلة وتذرون الآخرة وجوه يومئذ ناظرة إلى ربها ناظرة ووجوه يومئذ باسرة تظن أن يفعل بها فاقرة كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق وظن أنه الفراق والتفت الساق بالساق إلى ربك يومئذ المساق فلا صدق ولا صلى ولكن كذب وتولى ثم ذهب إلى أهله يتمطى أولى لك فأولى ثم أولى لك فأولى أيحسب الإنسان أن يترك سدى ألم يكن نطفة من مني يمنى ثم كان علقة فخلق فسوى فجعل منه الزوجين الذكر والأنثى أليس ذلك بقادر على أن يحيي الموتى. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
السلام